Small meme coin portfolio. So let's say you're starting with $50 to $300. Well, it's a numbers game. And I'm going to show you exactly how to play it. Step by step. So first, if you've got a very limited budget, you can't spend money on anything in terms of software. You can't pay for a community. You can't pay for training or anything like that. You have to use free software. And at the moment, in terms of fees, the cheapest one to use is Axiom Pro. I'm going to link it in the description below, and also in the pinned comments. My recent videos will show you exactly how to set up, but it's pretty straightforward. Once you sign up, you'll come to a dashboard page like this. So, we've got the software now. We're going to open this in a new tab, and what we want to do is minimize the fees we're paying for any time we buy and sell. So, here on the right hand side, you can see the fees here in terms of slippage, priority fee and bribery fee. Those are the three main fees you pay. And using bad protection you would want enabled. Now, if you come down here in presets, what you can do here is you can change these, so you can have these very low. Like I've tested these ridiculously low, like 0.000145. So, almost like nothing for bribe. Almost nothing for priority fee. So, very low. You might assume then, well, the transaction's not going to go through. Let's just try a 0.1 here, and click buy, and you can see it's gone through straight away. Because it's the quality of the software itself. That makes a difference in terms of what nodes they're using, etc. So, with MEV enabled, very low slippage, literally non-existent fees. You can't even see the fees there. It's still gone through with no problem at all. So I bought $16 here. And you can see I'm up at obviously a. Sometimes when you're buying and selling some of these tools, you could buy and already be down like $10. And you're like, what's going on here? Well, it's the fees. Anyway, I'll show you one of the other strategies. So, one of the strategies, when it comes to actually making trades here, and building up your small account, is to take scalp trades. It's also called scalping. Very all you're doing on any legit coin early on, is all you're doing is you're buying, anytime you're in a low area, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And then you're selling. As soon as you get some decent sort of you're not looking for you're looking just for a small gain. It could be any 20%. Anything like that. So, if you're looking to just exit once your balance is $75. Just for argument's sake, this coin as you can see is pretty dead. I mean, we haven't really researched the coin obviously, but it looks pretty dead in terms of volume. So we'll just sell out to this one. But even here when we're selling, you can see all fees set extremely low. I put slippage a little bit higher, just to make sure obviously it goes through. Now, obviously if there's a fast volume trade, you'd want the slippage a lot higher. Here for map protection, I've just kept that as disabled. You don't need that on at the moment. And here just click on 100%, click sell. And technically we broke even some slight profit. So let's go on to the actual strategies themselves. So we talked about fees. We talked about free software. So let's go back onto Pulse. Basically here the main area where you need to focus, if you've got limited budget, is before migration and new pairs. New pairs are risky. However, if you use the right filters, you can avoid a lot of the common scams and issues. And avoiding rugs is absolutely essential. If you've got limited budget, you cannot make money on 3 to 4 coins in a row. And then suddenly lose 90% of that balance on one coin. It literally defeats the purpose, and I'm going to show you a few advanced ways to watch out for kind of like common rugs. This area migrated is okay too, but the ROI is not worth it. If you have a very limited budget, then you'll have to wait a lot longer. But here with some of these coins, literally within seconds or a couple of minutes, you can make a quick 20%, 30%, and then sell it, and then just move on again. So let's talk about filters first. By the way, before I show you the filters, if you're liking this type of content, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section below. More than happy to do more strategy videos like this. So in terms of filters in a migration area, you can add a few basic ones. So I've got here for example, you can put 40 minutes or you can even put 60 minutes. I like to put a little bit less, just because I want a coin ideally that has momentum at the moment. Now sometimes obviously coins do die off, and then come back and get more momentum later as well, but it's less likely. Top 10 holders. To be honest, I'd put it even lower. I'd probably put it at 25 to 35% there. Insiders again you'll limit to. I just put 30 and 30 for now. We can see all of the details anyway under every single coin. And for metrics, I just put minimum 17 market cap. We don't really want lower than that. To be honest, we could probably go down to 15, which will give us a kind of dip buy opportunity. And then just click apply. And with all of these, what you want to do is right click, open in a new tab, and that's where we'll look to set up some trades. Now let me show you some other things to look out for. Those are the basic things there. So you can see in the bottom right here, things aren't looking too bad. The top 10 is a little bit on the high side, but okayish. Dev's not holding, so that's fine. Dev's sold and you can see the price is pumping, which is good. So the next thing you want to do, you have a quick look at Twitter as well. Make sure it's a legit coin. Have a quick look here and see like when was it created. You don't want a Twitter account? That's been in posting for the last few weeks, and now they suddenly have a coin. It wouldn't make any sense. Or if it looks like it's launched before. So this just looks like it's only just launched. And then there's a brand new post here. That's kind of a good sign in a way. because it means they're not kind of recycled any Twitter accounts. Now it's pumping quite quickly. A few of the other things I want to look for, because sometimes these can still be even rugs. If the numbers here all look good. Because again, rugs getting more and more sophisticated too. So a few things to check here. Scroll down and look at this section here, where it says holders. Have a look at the SOL balance here. So let me just zoom in there as you can see. So this SOL balance. Now you can see a nice mixture here. In the top, that's exactly what you want. So it's more likely to be a legit coin. You don't want all the balances to be like 0.02, 0.03, 0.04. So they all look like very, very fresh wallets. That's ideally what you don't want. Also here you can see holders. 336, pro traders, 122. Okay, bubble maps. There's not massive clusters, where there's joined kind of token holdings. Now the clusters are larger, but it's such a low market cap coin, so we're not worried about that. So everything looks okay here. So ideally at the top here you want market cap as price. Send the price in USD here as well. So I've clicked on both of those. With this particular one. So what are you looking for? There's a couple of strategies you can do. You can snipe early and obviously look to take some profits as it's pumping. Where you want to take profits is around 60, 70, just before bonding, because that's where a lot of people would look to sell. The other strategy is you can wait for that. Assuming it happens. It may do, it may not, and then you can buy on the DBE, and then you can look to trade all the way to graduation. If it gets there, and even if it doesn't, you sell profits up along the way. Now one of the best indicators that I like to add is, if you click on the FX tool here, click on CSE Relative Strength Index, and this gives you a better idea. As you can see there's too much noise at the moment, so you want to expand the time frame a little bit. So if you click on 15 seconds it's here, a little bit better. So you can see we're in the upper half at the moment. And sometimes, when we get these high peaks, those could be times when people are taking profits. But really here you want price to calm down. And then ideally what you want to see is CSE go all the way towards the bottom. And if you can buy here on a dip, that would be ideal. So in fact let's see in real time. If you can set up a trade here, there's a lot of places by the way, where you can sometimes get bounces and cost a comma on 20k. So always keep an eye out for those as well. That's something called consolence. Let's say you pull it all the way back and you've got an SI here showing as oversold, and it bounced on a psychological level. That just gives you a bit more power. That suggests it could be a place where we get a bit of a bounce. It might not be a great bounce. It might be a very poor bounce, but it could suggest a little bit of a bounce there. Now if this was a run by the way, you'd usually just see red candles all the way down. And you're not seeing that, which is also a good sign. But like I said, we did look at the bubble maps. We have looked at the information in the bottom right. The bundles inside a percentage, which is all fine. We looked at the balance as well. All fine. Holders, pro traders, all seems fine there. So no real issues. It went down to about 37. And it's still looking very strong. But again, like I said, I really wouldn't want to get involved unless I get a proper dip. Once we just keep an eye on that. Just going back over here, those are the filters here. Now new pairs is a little bit tricky, because again you don't want to do too much. I like to put age 3 minutes minimum. Anything less than that, you just see a lot of scam coins. So you want it to have aged a little bit. And you don't want anything, obviously more than 20 to 25 minutes, because then it just becomes an older coin. Same insiders bundles as well. You can put 20 minus 25 to 30% here. It doesn't really matter too much. Put a few holders in. So 7. I put a couple of pro traders in it. Nothing too much there. Again, just to rule out the obvious rugs and scams. And volume. I want at least 7,000. Market cap at least 8,000. If it's likely a dead coin, I'll wait. Again, you can play with that. I would maybe 7,000. Click apply. None of these are perfect. These are things you can move around and change. Obviously as the market conditions change, so price changes, the filters will change too. Now you can see some of these. But like you see, this one. This is why we use all of these tools. This is that. Look at the inside accounts. 70%. Top 10. Like so many red flags. Hardly any holders in this one. Hardly any pro traders. So you already know it's a scam. So it's so easy to do spot scams. Just by looking at some of this information here. Let's see if there's anything in the middle section. Again, same things. Look at those stats. Insider stats. Bundles. Top 10. Holders. I'm gonna have a look at the clusters as well. And bubble maps. And those are my checks. And obviously I have a quick look. And the Twitter profile too. So let's click on one or two of these. Let's have a look at this one. So let's click on the Twitter profile first. Says DEX paid apparently. And they've just launched it now. So they invested in the DEX. They got the CA there. And stuff like that. Again, nothing special obviously. So this particular one. 5-minute volume. $17,000 is good. Everything here is good in terms of stats. Let's have a look at the sold balances. Of the top holders. Mixture of balances. No massive. Holders. Connected accounts in pro trader everything maps. Looks good there. So it looks okay. I mean volumes. Dying You can see from the bars at the bottom. And by the way the DEX. If I zoom in here you can see. It is paid. So don't take that word for it. It will be confirmed here too. So Axiom is really cool. In terms of just confirming that too. Because paying the DEX as a develt is a bit of an investment. You can see that still holding. By the way. So you can see Dev bought there. And Dev still holding. 2.92%. So it's not a massive percentage. There's nothing wrong with the coin as such. In terms of dips. If you look. At the 5-second. See, that was a time. In the 5-second. Where it kind of got here. In the lower area of the RCS tie. Right now at 43. You wouldn't really want to buy. With a lot of these coins now, I'm seeing so many like new pair ones. That literally just run to 40 to 50 and die off. And then obviously, you're going to get a much smaller percentage. Run to migration. Let's just talk about that with these filters. Let's talk about that for a sec. So as I mentioned in my last video, as the price is going up and down, and then it reaches that migration point. That's really important, because that's where the coin will bond. And then you can get sometimes a little bit of a 2x move and more. But obviously for you, it's more than a 2x because you're not buying at 60 to 70k. You're buying much earlier, 20 to 30k. So potentially it could be a 4x move. Now the thing with this is generally, in terms of how many coins graduate per day, it's important you know some rough stats like this. It's something like 1.5%. It's been very stable for months now. Around that level. Doesn't really change. Good to know. But the thing is, when you add filters, and you're only dealing with coins, so now we're not looking at all coins, because we know so many coins are complete rubbish, complete scams. They just end here, and some of them don't even go over 10k anyway. So when you're filtered, and you're looking at 20k coins, but with lots of filters on, then this percentage is going to be a lot higher. For you it's going to be probably more like 20%. Still you don't know any 50% or 100%. Is now we're talking 1.5. That's much better than 1.5%. So that's why we do this. Any chance of any of these now going to graduation. If I see you know, let's say 5 to 10 coins. One of them coins. That's why we're using these filters that I discussed earlier in the video. And with any of these, all you're doing is, I mean not really, any adding good trade setups right now, because price is kind of already holding high. But if any of these pull back, you'd want to buy in a day, and you'd want to sell profits even before bonding. So any pump towards 50, you're taking profits there, snapping profits. But then you could hold. If it looks like it's going to graduate, remember, the more time goes on, the more time goes past, and the coin's not doing anything. This is a bad sign. For a new coin launch, it means there's no momentum, no attention, no viral word spreading of this particular coin. Nothing memeable about, and so on, and so on, and so on. So that's even though the price is not dumping. This is already a bad sign when it just goes sideways. So just keep that in mind as well. So I hope some of those tips help. Remember, it's quite time consuming. If you're doing this strategy, you'll have to spend a lot of time on the screen, but you do learn a hell of a lot too. It's just that the key here, absolute key with this, is using the statistics at the bottom, looking at soul balances, looking at the clusters, and just trying to avoid the obvious rugs and scams. If you can do that, and you stick to legit coins, then you've got a chance of making some small gains. But obviously, if any of them hit migration and beyond, you can make some much larger multiples as well. That's